She thought it was funny to humiliate me in front of friends, calling me weak and too sensitive to handle a little teasing. I played along until I decided to show her what it felt like. The night I turned her own game against her, she finally saw the damage she had done and lost the man who once loved her. I used to think Sarah and I were solid. We'd been together for almost 2 years, living in a small apartment downtown. She was smart, ambitious, the kind of person who could light up a room with her confidence. And in the beginning, I liked that about her. But over time, that confidence started to come with barbs. Little digs. Jokes, as she called them. The first one I remember clearly was at her friend's birthday dinner. Everyone was going around sharing embarrassing stories. I wasn't planning on contributing. Her friends didn't know me that well yet. But Sarah piped up. Sarah, oh, you guys have to hear this. He can't dance at all. Like, it's painful. I showed him one TikTok move, and he looked like he was having a seizure. The whole table erupted in laughter. I forced a smile. It stung, but I told myself it was harmless. Everyone makes fun of their partners sometimes, right? But then it became routine. At brunch with her sister. Sarah, don't ask him to cook. He once set off the smoke alarm making scrambled eggs. At a game night with friends. Sarah, he's so sensitive. He cried during a Pixar movie. A kid's movie. At her parents' barbecue. Sarah, yeah, he's great at fixing things, if you want them broken worse than before. Each time, I'd swallow the lump in my throat, laugh weakly, and tell her afterward, that kinda hurt. Her response never changed. Sarah, oh my God, you're too sensitive. Learn to take a joke. The build-up. It got to a point where I started dreading social gatherings. I wasn't excited to meet her friends, because I knew it meant sitting through 2 or 3 jokes at my expense. And it wasn't just the jokes, it was the way she delivered them. Smiling sweetly, glancing at me like she was daring me to challenge her, then soaking in the laughter when I didn't. One night after dinner with her family, I finally confronted her seriously. Me. Sarah, can you not do that in front of people? I'm asking nicely. It makes me feel small. Sarah, rolling her eyes, babe, everyone jokes about their partners. You're just overreacting. Me. There's a difference between light teasing and making me the punchline every time. It's not fun anymore. Sarah, then maybe toughen up. I can't date someone who sulks every time I open my mouth. I went to bed that night feeling like I'd lost some invisible battle. The moment it shifted. The turning point came at her cousin's birthday. We were sitting around after dinner, drinking wine, telling stories. Someone asked how Sarah and I met. She laughed and said, Sarah, honestly, I wasn't that into him at first. I thought he was boring. Still kinda do sometimes. But hey, he grows on you. The group chuckled. I felt my face heat up. That wasn't playful, it was humiliating. Something inside me just switched. I smiled, leaned back in my chair, and replied, Me? Yeah. Well, at least I didn't almost set the kitchen on fire trying to bake cookies from a boxed mix. The room went silent for a beat, then burst out laughing. Sarah's cousin almost spit out her drink. Sarah's smile faltered. Just a flicker. But I noticed. That was the first time I pushed back. Testing the waters. After that night, I started experimenting. Not in a cruel way, at least, not at first. The next time she joked about me getting lost driving, he's like a human GPS with no signal. I smirked and said, Me, says the woman who failed her driving test 3 times. Her friends laughed. She forced a chuckle, but her eyes narrowed. Another time, she mocked my boring job at dinner. Sarah, he's such a 9 to 5 guy. Like, spreadsheet king. Me. And yet, those spreadsheets pay for your Etsy shop, sweetheart. How many dream catchers did you sell this month? Her brother snorted beer through his nose. Sarah went red. I could see it in her face every time. This wasn't fun for her anymore. The mirror effect. The more she jabbed, the more I mirrored it back. She called me sensitive. I reminded her she cried for 2 days when Starbucks spelled her name wrong. She mocked me at karaoke. I joked about her tone-deaf rendition of Adele. She laughed at my gym routine. I teased about her treadmill membership gathering dust. And every single time she snapped, I would tilt my head and say, Me. Don't be so sensitive. Learn to take a joke. Watching her taste her own medicine was oddly satisfying. For the first time in 2 years, I felt like I had some control. The breaking point. The big explosion came at her parents' Sunday dinner. We were sitting around the table, passing dishes, when Sarah decided to tell the story of how I once accidentally used baking soda instead of baking powder. Sarah, He thought he was being all domestic, but the cake tasted like Play-Doh. Everyone laughed politely. I took a sip of water, smiled, and said, "Me, yeah, that was bad. Almost as bad as when you cried in the DMV bathroom after failing your test for the third time." Silence. Her mom raised her eyebrows. Her dad cleared his throat. Sarah's face drained of color. Dinner continued, but the energy had shifted. Later, when we were alone, she exploded. "Sarah, what the hell was that? You embarrassed me in front of my parents." "Me? Oh, I embarrassed you? Funny, that's exactly how I felt for 2 years." "Sarah, you're being cruel." "Me? Cruel? Or just joking? Because that's what you always say, right? Learn to take a joke." She didn't speak to me the rest of the night. Reflection. I'll be honest, part of me felt guilty. I'd never seen her so shaken. But another part of me, the part that had been quietly swallowing humiliation for years, felt vindicated. She wanted a jokester? She got one. She wanted me to toughen up? Well, I had. The only problem was, she clearly couldn't take the same treatment she'd been dishing out. After that dinner at her parents' house, the energy between Sarah and me shifted dramatically. She'd been used to controlling the room with her jokes, used to getting the easy laughs while I sat quietly and smiled. But now, every time she opened her mouth, there was a risk that I'd clap back, a risk that she would be the punchline. And I could tell it terrified her. The next weekend, we went to a barbecue hosted by one of her coworkers. A dozen people, music, drinks. It should have been a lighthearted evening. But I could see her scanning me nervously, like she was trying to gauge if I'd embarrass her again. At one point, someone asked if Sarah ever cooked. "Coworker, you guys live together, right? Who's the chef?" Sarah, laughing too quickly. "Oh, definitely not me. I once burned soup." Normally, she would have added, "So he does it badly," or something like that. But she didn't. She glanced at me, waiting. I just smiled, shrugged, and said, "Me? Yeah, she's not much of a cook. But you should see her reheat pizza. It's an art form." The group laughed. Sarah laughed too, but it was brittle, uncomfortable. That was when I realized something important. She wasn't enjoying this anymore. Not even a little. From then on, our relationship felt like a Cold War. She stopped making little digs as often, but when she did, I was ready. And I didn't hold back. She joked at brunch. "He always orders the same boring pancakes." Me. "At least I don't return food 3 times until the waiter knows me by name." She smirked at a game night. "He's no fun. He won't even try shots with us." Me. "Right, because someone has to stay sober enough to carry you home." She teased during a movie night with friends. "He cried during Up." Me. "And you snore so loudly during movies, people think it's surround sound." The laughter would land on my side more often than hers. Her face would tighten, her smile would falter, and the fun she used to have at my expense vanished. Finally, one night, she broke. We were sitting on the couch, her scrolling through her phone, me reading. Out of nowhere, she slammed her phone down. "Sarah, do you enjoy this?" Me, looking up, "Enjoy what?" "Sarah, making me look bad. Humiliating me in front of people. Is that fun for you?" Me, "Interesting. That's exactly what I wanted to ask you 2 years ago." Her face went red. "Sarah, it's not the same. You're being mean on purpose." Me, "And you weren't? You think calling me boring, pathetic, or sensitive in front of your friends was just playful banter?" "Sarah, it was just jokes." Me, "And that's what I'm doing now. Jokes. So why can't you take them?" Silence. That night, she went to bed without saying a word. The real breaking point came a week later at another family dinner. Her parents, her sister, her cousin, all gathered around the table. Sarah, perhaps out of habit, tried again. Sarah, smiling, with forced cheer, "You know, he still can't fix anything around the house. I have to call Dad for help every time." Her dad chuckled lightly. Everyone looked at me. I leaned forward, smiling politely. Me, "True. But at least I don't lock myself in the bathroom because I can't figure out how to work a doorknob." The table burst out laughing. Her sister nearly spit wine. Sarah's smile froze. Her face flushed deep crimson. She set her fork down, pushed back her chair, and excused herself from the table. Later, in the car, she exploded. "Sarah, you humiliated me in front of my family." Me, "You started it." Sarah, "I was joking." Me, "So was I. But maybe the difference is, I'm better at it." That was the night she cried for the first time over it. In the following weeks, Sarah stopped making jokes entirely. No more digs. No more comments. At first, I thought I'd won, that she'd finally realized how it felt. But then I noticed something else, resentment. She became colder, distant. Our conversations grew shorter. She avoided eye contact at dinners. Sometimes, when I teased her lightly, even in private, she'd shut down completely. It was like she couldn't separate playful banter from the sting of being humiliated. She'd built a monster, and now she couldn't live with it. One night, she sat across from me at the table, fidgeting with her fork. Finally, she whispered, "Sarah, I don't even know who we are anymore. You've changed." Me, no. I just stopped letting you treat me like a joke. Sarah, tears in her eyes, I didn't mean to hurt you. I thought. I don't know. I thought it was fun. Me? Fun for who? She didn't answer. That night, she curled up in bed, whispering apologies. But by then, something inside me had shifted too. I wasn't sure if I wanted her apologies or her at all. Update 1. After that night, the one where Sarah sat at the table whispering apologies, I expected a shift. Maybe she'd truly understand now. Maybe we could rebuild something healthier, something where respect replaced ridicule. For a while, it looked like that was possible. Sarah swung hard in the other direction. The next week, she was excessively kind, complimenting me on everything. "Wow, you look so handsome in that shirt. You're such a hard worker. I'm lucky. You're so thoughtful. I don't tell you enough." It was like she'd turned into a cheerleader overnight. At first, I appreciated it. But soon, it felt forced. Hollow, like someone who'd been caught cheating on a test and was trying too hard to prove they'd studied this time. Her friends noticed too. At brunch, instead of teasing me, she kept praising me, loudly. "Isn't he amazing? He cooked dinner last night. He's the most patient man, really." The girls exchanged glances. One even asked quietly later if we were okay. Then came the apologies. Endless apologies. Sarah pulled me aside one night and said, "I've been thinking a lot about how I treated you, about the jokes. I didn't realize how much I hurt you. I'm sorry. Really, I am." I nodded, thanked her. But something in me didn't soften, because while she was saying the right words, I couldn't forget how long it had taken her to see it. How many times I'd told her before, how she'd laughed in my face and called me sensitive. Apologies don't erase years of patterns. The real test came 2 weeks later at her cousin's birthday. We were all sitting around the fire pit, passing drinks, telling stories. At one point, someone made a joke about Sarah's terrible parallel parking. The group chuckled. Normally, she'd laugh along. But this time, her head whipped toward me, panic in her eyes, like she was bracing for me to pile on. I didn't. I just sipped my beer and smiled politely. But she couldn't let it go. Later, in the car, she snapped. "Sarah, why didn't you say anything?" Me, about what? "Sarah, you could have defended me. You just sat there." Me, defended you? "Sarah, for years you never defended me when you were the one leading the jokes." "Sarah, that's different." Me, no, it's not. You're just not used to being on the other end." She cried the whole drive home. After that, our house felt like a graveyard. Silence hung heavy in every room. We tiptoed around each other. Conversations shrank to logistics, groceries, bills, schedules. The laughter, real laughter, was gone. One night, I caught myself thinking, when was the last time I laughed with her, not at her or in spite of her? I couldn't remember. Finally, one night, she broke the silence. "Sarah," quietly, "I feel like I ruined us." Me, "You didn't ruin us alone. I let it happen. I let myself be the punching bag for too long. Then I became the monster you created. And now, we don't know who we are anymore." Sarah, "I want to fix it. I want us to be us again." Me, "But what is us, Sarah? Because if us means you making jokes at my expense, I don't want it. If us means me cutting you down in return, you don't want it. And if us means walking on eggshells, neither of us wants it." She started crying, full, shaking sobs. And for the first time in months, I didn't feel angry. I just felt done. That night, I told her the truth. "I don't think we can fix this. Too much damage has been done. We stopped respecting each other a long time ago." She begged me to reconsider. Promised to go to therapy. Promised to stop the jokes forever. But here's the thing. It wasn't about the jokes anymore. It was about trust, respect. Once those erode, it's nearly impossible to rebuild them. The next morning, I packed a bag and stayed at a friend's place. Sarah called, texted, even showed up at my friend's door once. Her messages swung between anger and desperation. You're really just going to throw 4 years away? You think you'll find someone who understands you better than me? I didn't mean to hurt you. Why can't you see that? But then, in one voicemail, her voice broke. I just wanted to make people laugh. I didn't realize I was making you feel small. And now I can't stop thinking about how you must have felt all those times. I hate myself for it. For the first time, she understood. But for me, it was too late that it's been a month since I moved out. Sarah and I haven't spoken in 2 weeks. I've started therapy, unpacking why I tolerated it for so long. My therapist said something that stuck. You don't need to become cruel to avoid being a victim. You just need to set boundaries. I think about that a lot. Sarah taught me a painful lesson. She also taught herself one. If you build a monster, don't be surprised when it bites back. But me? I'm ready to stop being a monster. I'm ready to just be me again. Final update that it's been 3 months since I packed my things into 2 bags and walked out of the apartment we once called home. At first, I thought I'd missed the comfort of familiarity, the routines we'd built together, even the little annoyances that somehow gave shape to our days. But what I discovered was that I didn't miss any of it. What I missed was a version of myself that had been buried under years of being the punchline. When the silence of my friend's guest room became my new normal, I realized that I was breathing easier. No one was waiting to take a shot at me. No one was smirking at my expense. I was just me, unedited, unmocked. Sarah, on the other hand, couldn't seem to let go. For weeks, she blew up my phone with a cocktail of emotions. Some messages were sweet, almost desperate. We can fix this. Please come home. Others were laced with anger. You're weak. You think anyone else will put up with you? It was like watching someone drown, thrashing between begging for a lifeline and cursing the shore for being too far away. I didn't respond. For the first time in years, I was practicing restraint, not lashing back, not defending myself, simply letting silence do the work. Our mutual friends started noticing the cracks too. A buddy of mine texted after seeing Sarah at a bar. She was telling everyone you abandoned her. Then she started crying about how she wishes she'd treated you better. People didn't know what to say. Another time, one of her own close friends sent me a screenshot of Sarah's late-night rant on social media. Vague posts about betrayal, about men who can't handle strong women, about regrets. The irony wasn't lost on me. For years, I'd been accused of being too sensitive. Now she was crumbling under the very sensitivity she used to mock. Meanwhile, I had started therapy. At first, I thought I'd just talk about Sarah, get some closure, and move on. But the sessions peeled back layers I didn't expect. Why had I tolerated those jokes for so long? Why did I mistake cruelty for affection? My therapist put it plainly. When someone keeps telling you a story about yourself and you don't fight back, part of you starts to believe it. That's why it hurts so much. Not just because of what she said, but because you started thinking she might be right. That sentence sat with me for days. I began testing out the idea that maybe I wasn't the boring, over-serious guy Sarah painted me as. I reconnected with hobbies I'd abandoned, playing guitar, running in the mornings, even trying my hand at cooking without fearing it would become the butt of a joke. Every small success felt like reclaiming ground I hadn't realized I'd surrendered. For the first time, my life felt like it belonged to me. One evening, I bumped into a mutual acquaintance at the grocery store. She looked uncomfortable before blurting out, I saw Sarah last week. She was not doing well. She kept saying you'll realize your mistake and come back. I just smiled politely and said, I hope she finds peace. The truth was, I no longer felt anger or even pity. Just distance, like looking at someone I used to know from very far away. Then came the voicemail that marked the end of it all. Sarah's voice, trembling and uneven, poured out of my phone. I can't believe I destroyed what we had. I thought making people laugh was harmless. I didn't realize I was laughing at you, not with you. Every day I replay things I said, and I hate myself for it. And the worst part? I know you won't come back, and I deserve that. For the first time, she admitted the full weight of it without excuses. And though it was tragic, I felt a strange calm. Not triumph, not satisfaction, just confirmation that leaving was the right choice. By the time I deleted the voicemail, I was already seeing the beginnings of something new in my own life. A woman I'd met through work, kind, warm, with a dry sense of humor that never cuts but always lifts, had started to become a friend I looked forward to seeing. We weren't rushing anything, but the difference was stark. Her jokes didn't sting. They made me laugh. It reminded me that humor isn't the enemy, mockery is. And there's a world of difference between the two. Sometimes, late at night, I think about how easily I could have stayed, how easily I could have brushed aside my own pain to avoid starting over. And then I imagine the years stretching ahead, dinner tables filled with laughter at my expense, birthdays with digs disguised as affection, anniversaries where I smiled through humiliation. The thought makes me shudder. Walking away wasn't the harder choice. Staying would have been. Sarah once told me, half seriously, that I was too nice to ever leave. I think that's why she never stopped pushing. She believed she could keep cutting, keep crossing lines, and I'd still be there. But people forget, niceness isn't the same as weakness. Quiet doesn't mean blind. Patience doesn't mean permanent. I don't know what Sarah's life looks like now, and honestly, I don't want to. Mine is finally starting to feel like my own again. I can breathe without bracing for the next punchline. I can laugh without wondering if it's at me. And I can look in the mirror without hearing her voice narrating who I am. The day she realized she'd created a monster was the day I realized I didn't have to live as one. And that's where our story ends. Not with fireworks or revenge, but with freedom. Because sometimes, the greatest revenge isn't becoming crueler than the person who hurt you. It's refusing to carry their cruelty into your future.